Muted there. Hello and welcome to the Village Voice. I am your host, Realtor Kathy Smith. And tonight we're going to do a little bit of different approach to the show. It's going to be more of a small business approach. So I know a lot of folks that are watching actually are small business owners themselves and are kind of struggling with what's going on with the COVID-19 fun, as we should say. Now, I looked at a study earlier today from the Small and Medium Business Group. They're a research and analysis and consulting firm that looks at how technology, adaptation, and trends that are going on in the small and medium business market. And they looked at things and they thought, how is this affecting smaller and medium businesses? And one of the things that came up is that they surveyed about 500 businesses and they found 3 areas of which they felt that were going to be most impacted by COVID-19. And the industries that they found were going to be, number one, personal services. So your hairstylist, your pet care, dry cleaners, folks like that. The second area was going to be hospitality. The third area, obviously, was going to be retail. 60% of business owners in this survey felt as though their incomes are going to be negatively impacted or shrink, so to speak, over the next 6 months. 40% of those business owners looked at a perspective of, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull back some of my spending over the next few months or years going forward. And they were looking at cutting back on non-employee spending. So, office supplies and making capital contributions and things of that sort. So where are they planning on adding some extra money into the pipeline? And that would be on upgrading their business communications. So that would be upgrades on their computer software, computer hardware, software, even their telecommunications, as they're kind of struggling with how to communicate with their clientele. And I thought, looking at this study that said, look, going forward, the web presence, the social media presence has got to be responsive and effective is the most critical thing that a business can do. So, of course, I thought, this would be the perfect opportunity to bring in someone that knows that very, very well. And that's Tracy Matherly. And she is with Brainstorm Marketing Partners. Let me bring her in here. Hey, Tracy, good to see you.
Hey, nice to see you. Thank you for having me this evening.
Oh, I'm having some audio issues. I'm going to go ahead and try to get my sound going here. Tracy, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I'm actually on mute for some odd reason. So Tracy, why don't you take it from here and kind of tell us a little bit about you and the Brainstorm Marketing Partners and what you guys do.
Okay, well, Brainstorm Marketing Partners is a full-service marketing agency located in Roanoke, Virginia. We cater to small business owners, helping them achieve profitable growth through integrated marketing solutions. And some of our suite of marketing services includes graphic design, digital and social media, public relations, web development, content writing, and brand management. And right now we are helping our clients who are small business owners overcome the challenges of selling their products and services due to the current crisis situation and trying to make them feel more at ease, knowing that there is someone out there that will go beyond the call of duty to help them achieve their goals. Right now, with what's going on, it is important to understand businesses right now feel apprehensive. There is a sense of fear. And this is because traditional ways of conducting businesses and staying connected with their customers has changed. I've spoken to many small business owners, and they tell me that I've been here before with the recession in the past, but not with current health issues that are in place currently, and the government shutdown and them not being able to conduct business at their physical locations. So this is something that we never have seen in our lifetime. And it's just an added extra layer of panic that makes it more intense, and because we are in uncharted territory. Now today, depending upon where you live, businesses are either operating at half capacity, not operating at all, or they are mandated by a phase one plan. So, and also the governors in each state might say that it's okay for businesses, certain businesses, to open up. But just because a business opens up doesn't necessarily mean that there is consumer confidence for consumers to go to businesses. Therefore, it puts a strain on business owners. It also causes business owners, because they're just like us. They have families, they have children. Some of these business owners might have to homeschool their children, and they might have other obligations. So it creates a stress on these business owners. But ultimately, the reality is that there is a way to still stay connected to consumers and still generate revenue for their businesses. And this can be done through creative ways. And small business owners, as a result, need to adopt a digital marketing strategy. And this digital marketing strategy will allow them to stay relevant in times like these. Having a plan in place will allow them to stay connected with their existing customer base and expand their customer base, so they outshine their competition during this recession and other problems in the future. Especially in today's digital age, it allows us to do that.
Now, Tracy, it used to be where it was a one-stop shop. Like, we were handling everything from accounting, to doing the advertising, putting the ads in the newspaper. Like, there were so many old-fashioned ways of connecting with people. It really has totally changed, hasn't it?
It has, and a lot of businesses still function in that capacity. But with what's going on with the current situation, it can't remain that way. They need to change the way they do things if they want to stay afloat. They have to find a different creative approach, because the old traditional ways are just not going to work anymore.
I looked at it from the ways of, when I started in real estate 18 years ago, it was a big deal of getting your ads in on time to go in the newspaper. Then it was, a fact of after you get your ads in the newspaper, then it was the magazine ads. And next thing you know, it was like Craigslist hit. And all of a sudden, poof, there were no more, newspaper ads that were running anymore. Everything has gone online, kind of the way that it is.
And I think this pandemic has forced businesses to understand that there's no choice here right now. Right. In order to stay connected, you're not going to have foot traffic to your actual store. You need to find different innovative ways and different approaches in order to still maintain your customer base and as well as get new customers. So, but I think also now is also the time to increase not only your online presence through social media, but to also increase your online content. And this is the best time to do it for small business owners, because now, as far as TV, there's limited broadcasting as far as new TV shows, and nobody really has much to do. It's not like you could have social gatherings right now. No. So what's going on is people are turning to the internet. And the other thing is that this also causes limited distractions. People aren't on the TV or on their devices at the same time. So you're getting people's attention, and they're paying attention to it right now. And this crisis has literally changed the face of the internet. Consumers are seeking out more information. They're connected to others through social media outlets, blogs, videos, just like what we're doing tonight.
Exactly. Here we are.
And also the rise of, so with the rise of people having to be socially distant right now, this is really important. And they're connecting through, a lot of people are connecting through video chat. So this is a great way for small business owners to stay connected with their current customers.
I mean, it is the time of Zoom right now. I mean, like that's, and they talk about almost like a Zoom fatigue because there's so much of it going on right now. But that truly is the way that we're connecting with people, and for some of us keeping sane. you know, with the pandemic, it really truly has changed the way we do business, hasn't it?
Yeah, and for example, like, Zoom is being used for teachers with homeschooling right now. A lot of people, due to boredom and they can't have social gatherings, they're having what you call a cocktail party, a virtual cocktail party, where people just get together and socialize because they have to be 6 feet from each other. So this is the best way to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, it really has. And I think it really kind of looking at the broader picture, those that can adapt more quickly and realize, okay, that there's, this has totally changed. Like for instance, and I'll just use my business because that's what I know. Going out and showing real estate, you can't do that anymore. I mean, now we're able to in smaller abilities, as far as like vacant properties and things of that sort. But as this hit, I had a client that was actually looking for property, and we had a timeline. I mean, they're going to be homeless. And so the way that we got them back under contract on the property was through using Zoom and FaceTime and all these different avenues where we weren't physically in the properties, but we had either the listing agent or the seller doing it back for us. So I think these are times when in certain industries that this is going to be a forced shift. Not something we want to do necessarily, but I think this is something that's been working, kind of heading up the pipeline for a long time. And this is that big shove off the cliff that we needed to kind of change us. I mean, it'd be for the better. So
it's uncomfortable.
It is. And it's the strangest thing. And I remember calling a couple of agents and saying, hey, look, here's what I need to do. And one of which actually accused me of being unethical and, breaking the law because I wanted them to do this. And I said, no, you don't understand. You're going to be on the call with us. So everybody's represented as we view this property, or you can go over to the house and show us yourself. We don't care. We just got to see it. So, yeah.
And the other thing too is in your business, for example, a lot of realtors. I mean, I know some of them did it, but a lot of realtors are turning to virtual, seeing a home virtually, because there's not a lot of confidence with people wanting other people they don't know in their house, and we don't know what you have.
Yeah, you might be one of the carriers. We just don't know it. So yeah, that's happening a lot. But so let's look at it moving forward. Like how are folks going to adapt to this new reality? And I hate to use that phrase, but that's kind of what it really is. And how are they going to grow and thrive in this business? Like what's the key here?
Well, I think it's forced. I think, like you said, it's forced, and you have no choice but to adapt. But I think there's many different avenues. Like I said, for example, creating more online content. You've got to be more involved as a business owner. You've got to be more involved in trying to figure out new and creative ways, either doing it by yourself or hiring someone externally to do it for you. But I think one of the main ways to capture and stay connected to your audience right now is to make sure that businesses are found online. And now is the time for small business owners either to create a website and a web presence, or to look at their existing website and give it a facelift. Statistically, for 2020, it is stated that 29% of small business owners currently have a web presence. That is a very small number that compared to how many small businesses are out there. By doing this, you can stay connected with your current customers. You can increase your visibility and credibility for your business. for customers that are searching out products and services that they need. So one of the things that I think is most important right now is for small businesses to realize that they really need to have a website to stay connected, especially since consumers are home right now. They're reluctant to go in store, and a large amount of purchases that consumers make right now are online because they feel that confidence they don't have to go anywhere. They're not going to catch anything.
I really, you know what, I totally echo that, because and this is, I found this interesting, is that there were, I'm trying to buy everything online and having it delivered these days. And so, like, simply, I wanted to get a couple of plants. And I had gone to the local nursery's website and said, hey, this is what I want. I want a basil plant. Honest to God, that's all I wanted was some basil. And they had all this stuff up there on their website about, ordering online, all these things. And there was, all of a sudden, when I went to the inventory of things that I could order, there was nothing. So I picked up the phone and I called the nursery and I said, so all I need is just, a basil plant. And so is there a way that I can get a basil plant? And they said, no, you have to come in the store and actually buy the basil plant. And I was like, no, I don't think so. So I went to went to Lowe's and ordered my basil plant and drove over to Lowe's and popped open the trunk, and somebody came over and stuck a basil plant in the trunk of my car. So I never had to actually see anybody, or interact with them. So, that interaction is so important when you're talking about the website. I mean, they cost them a sale.
Exactly. And honestly, not having a website has cost probably a lot of small business owners sales. And not only do they have to have a web presence and a website, but they also have to make sure, it's equally important, that they have it optimized for search engine optimization purposes. At the end of the
SEO thing, the search engine optimization, tell us what that's all about.
Search engine optimization is basically keywords where just an everyday person is going online and they're searching for something, that your business will come up right at the top of the page, or the first, or at least on the first page, where people can click and find your business. But at the end of the day, if you, as a small business owner, you do not have search engine optimization capabilities, then your website is worthless. You could have the best website and spend a ton of money on having it built, and it could look like the most beautiful website. But at the end of the day, if no one can find you, it's pointless at the end of the day. So small business owners really need to be careful when having their website designed to make sure that it's optimized. And the other thing too is when small business owners have their website designed, they also have to make sure that it is responsive, meaning that it renders in different screens. So you can see it on your desktop, you can see it on your laptop, you can view it on your tablet, your smartphone, so that it renders well, and that's also equally important for getting ranked on Google, Bing, and Yahoo, that you have that too as well.
Yeah, a lot of folks are just, the community side of, hey, do you know somebody who could cut my grass? It's kind of grown beyond that point these days, because now it's not just, there's a kid down the street that can cut my grass, that it's now, well, what kind of services do you provide, and what's your ranking on Yelp and stuff like that. So I mean, it's gone beyond just a name passed around in a community.
And you're right. And if a small business has search engine optimization capability, in addition to being responsively designed, that will ensure that businesses can stay relevant and they're ahead of the competition in this digital age, and allows them to stay connected with customers or potential customers who are seeking out their products and services. You could be missing a sale or missing a potential new customer just because you don't have those capabilities. And during this time with the crisis, you could be missing out on a ton of opportunity just because you don't have those tools in place.
Right. Now let's talk moving forward. So if I'm a business owner and I don't have a clue of what we are talking about at all, can Brainstorm help us out, the company that you work for?
Yes, we can. We can help.
And how does that all work? Like, how would somebody get, if I called you today and said, help me, I don't know what to do. What would be the first things that we'd tackle, and kind of how would the process go?
Well, we would, if their need is they want a website, then we can design a website and put it together, as well as the content. And we would also be able to make sure that people would be able to find them, that they're relevant, make sure that they are on the top of the page for Google, so people can search them out. Also, with a website, we would be able to put together their Google My Business page, which allows a consumer to see what their location is, their hours are, where they're located, and that sort of information. We would be able to also put together, what kind of that we make sure it's branded, so we stay consistent with their branding of their business, that it looks the same as everything else. So we are consistent. So that's basically what we could do if they're seeking out that service. Now, if they're seeking out other services, we work like through very a la carte. So if that's one of the things they need, that's fine. If they need, for example, a content strategy, we can do that for them. If they need social media, we could put a whole social media plan together. And if they're looking for a brand audit or brand management, everything is separate. So it depends upon what the needs and wants are of the client, and it ultimately depends upon what their goals are for the customers to increase their revenue growth.
Now, is there a size limit? I mean, if I'm a small one-person show or a larger company, do you guys have restrictions on the types of companies that you work with?
Well, we do just work with small business owners. Just small businesses right now. We're not looking to go and work with those large organizations. The reason why small business owners is because small business owners don't have a large cash flow, and they when you're a larger organization, there's a struggle there. You need to grow your business, small business owners, but they don't necessarily have the funds like a large company. So we fit that void to help them. So they get the same benefits that a mid to large company receives. So we prefer to just work with small businesses.
I love it. Somebody that's focusing on us, the small business owner.
Yeah, and I like it because it's more of a personalized, you can give more personalized attention. And at the same time, I like to educate my clients too. It's not just about, okay, give me the work, I'll do it. It becomes a partnership. And basically then we become an extension of their business. So that's how we work.
So it's nice because you guys can kind of take the bull by the horns over there, and you can handle the website, you can handle the social media presence, whatever it is that company is actually needing, and just take care of it. And so that way we as business owners can focus on, what we do best,
Correct.
Because, some of us may not be webmasters, and some of us may not have the exact best ideas to go on social media. And so having somebody who's tested all this stuff and knows exactly what's going on is a big boon to them.
Yeah, and we like to also educate small business owners on what we're doing. It's not just about, hey, let me create this, and they don't have a stake in what we're doing, because ultimately it's their customers, it's their business, it's their baby.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. At the end of the day, that's our baby. But Tracy, I mean, if there were three things, if I'm a business owner, three things right now today that I could do during this pandemic and post-pandemic world, what would be the top three things that you'd recommend that we do?
One of the things is digital videos. This is a great way to showcase a small business's vision and purpose. It also gives your audience, small businesses, customers, their audience, the ability to connect with them authentically and more on a personal level, which allows it allows them to position themselves as thought leaders and be able to humanize their brand. It's important to understand that right now, with what's going on, consumers are preferring right now video even over social media right now, because they can put a face with their business. It allows them to connect to the organization. So that is one way that I would one way that I would approach that. Another is to businesses need to develop a social media strategy. This is a must right now for small business owners, to get online and to start posting content through various social media channels. So you need to understand your audience. That's when you develop a social media strategy, you need to understand your audience. You need to know where do they go? What social media platforms do they use? You need to know what is the competition. You also need to do some social media monitoring out there and just listen to the different platforms right now, and get and if you can't do this, then hire, if you have to, an outside vendor. But yeah. Once it's completed, small business owners need to get involved in social communities, just not looking at social media platforms, but also getting involved, give valuable feedback, look for influencers, bump up their engagement. And this will allow them to stay in touch with their current customer base. It'll also allow them to acquire new customers. And in the end, it will, once we get past this crisis, it will also generate advocacy for their brand. So while doing this, businesses it would allow them to make an emotional connection to their target audience. But when they develop their social media strategy, they need to ask the question, why should my customers care? And what is in it for them to do business with me? And once they answer this question, this will help businesses build meaningful long-term relationships. The last thing that I also think is very important and is a little bit different, it's not necessarily staying connected directly with customers, but small business owners might want to consider developing a crisis communication plan. And a crisis communication plan is when there is an emergency and something happens, you don't have to stop. You have an alternate means of still conducting business, and it's not damaging. It doesn't damage the reputation of your business. So when it comes to the pandemic, this is one thing that I would suggest, because right now we're just starting with this whole crisis. We've all been told that there could be another wave of this, and businesses again might need to shut down. So they need to have in place, how are they going to do business the next time around? In the event that there's another business shutdown, and how would you serve your customers when this happens again? So I think that's also something that's extremely important. And I think that in the past, it was something that's been overlooked by businesses, because large organizations and mid-sized businesses, a lot of them do have crisis communication plans, but not necessarily small businesses, because they don't feel it. A lot of them might not feel it's necessary, but in times like these, I think we've come to the conclusion that it is necessary.
It truly has kind of changed our world. You know, and I'm glad you brought in that point about the whole crisis communication, because there are so many companies that, you know, even I've reached out to a few of them and gotten absolutely no response. And it's kind of a mode of, okay, well, are you closed for business or what's happening here? That's definitely critical, you know, in our thinking and our planning. I'm encouraged.
And it would help people stay connected with their with their customers and the consumers.
Yeah, and I mean, I've talked to folks on, and it's been kind of, oddly enough, like I even talked to a customer service person at Walmart of all places, and they kept saying to me, I'm so sorry, my computer's is real laggy and I have to wait for this thing to come up, and it just was excruciating. And I kept saying, it's okay, I'll call back on another time. No, I'll get it. And I mean, it was a 3-minute phone call that was more like 20 minutes, because, you know, they didn't have the hardware or possibly the software that would deal with the telecommunications that they needed at that time, because now they're working remotely where they hadn't planned on that before.
Mm-hmm. And it'll allow consistent processes to be in place, and it will also allow their businesses to have a consistent message of what to even say to their customers during these time periods. I mean, let's face it, no one ever knew something like this would happen. No one of us have ever experienced it in our lifetime. So, you know, you can plan for a hurricane if you live in South Carolina, North Carolina, you know, you can plan for a hurricane. You can plan for snow. You can plan for a power, but not something like this. So
no. Pandemics are not exactly on the spectrum of things I'd expect to happen to me.
But at the end of the day, small business owners, who knows what the future holds? You never know when the government could say that everything's going to shut down again for some other reason. And you don't want to end up in a situation as a small business owner that your business can't survive because you couldn't think of another means to sell your products or services out there. So,
yeah. Well, I encourage everybody who's watching to give you a call over at Brainstorm. I mean, because you guys have it together. You have the whole system in place. You know exactly what you're doing. And, you know, again, going back to the motto of we should focus on what we do best, you know, and for me, it's selling houses and talking to customers about the value of their homes. And so helping them to get the most dollar out of their properties, focus on that and let you guys handle the rest. So Tracy, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. And it's ironic that you mentioned that we always should have crisis plans, because in the middle of all this, I had to literally switch laptops because the sound went out on one, and I'm like, okay, I'll grab the second one. So I've got my crisis plan in place. It's called the second laptop. So, but
well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna leave Tracy's information here up at the end of the show. And so that way you can reach out to her and her company. And again, I apologize for how fuzzy and crazy this is, but crisis mode, I'm telling you, right there gives you case in point why you need to be prepared for these kinds of things. So again, thank you so much for joining me here on The Village Voice. I am your host, Realtor Kathy Smith. And until next time, have a good one. Be safe. Take care.